Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Ben Plays Elder Scrolls Online. We're back with Ash and Bash, and I hope you'll forgive me, but I recorded a whole episode, but I didn't actually record it because I didn't hit start record. So, we've gone up a couple levels. I hope you can forgive me. I did a couple dungeons. I'm not going to do those dungeons again. But we did Darkshade, we did Elden Ring, Elden Hollow, Elden Ring, jeez. Elden Hollow. We're just gonna go straight to Way West. Sewers. We're gonna play the tank. We're ready with the flames. I'll see you when we get our game. Alright, we found it. We found it! I was looking all night for you. Looking all night for this game. Oh no! Oh, okay, they accepted. Good, good, good. Yes, yes. Alright, we're in the sewers of Wayrest. Wherever Wayrest is. Wait, isn't that the capital of the Daggerfall Covenant? Maybe it is, maybe it is. But hey, sewers are interesting, aren't they? Like, it's just a place where all people's poop and stuff goes, huh? I can't imagine living, like, in, I guess, medieval times and stuff, where they didn't have widespread sewage and stuff like that. I'm sure some of the, like, big cities had it, but I need to add a skill. I got to level 20 on my skills. I hope you noticed my Dragon Blood and Fiery Breath. Because now we have those, and we're excited to have those, aren't we? Yes, I am. I don't know about you, but I am. Because now I can just fire everything. The Ash of Bash. The Ash of Bash. We're ready. But yeah, sewers, like... Oh, I'm on my wrong skills tree. There we go. They're very similar, so you can understand my confusion. I'm not gonna keep them similar, just for now, with like the amount of skills I have, it just seems to make sense to do it this way. But sewers... When I think of sewers, I think of, like... Well, I think of Rome, I guess. Didn't they, like, have a good sewage system? I know they had public water, which is crazy, because Rome was, like, a thousand years ago. Like, the Roman Empire was more than 2,000 years ago. Or around that time, you know. Around that time. 2,000 years ago, though. You know, think about that. 2,000 years ago when they had sewage, they had running water. All thanks to aqueducts. Which is crazy to think about. But I also think of Paris, because built on top of like the sewage system of Paris, or maybe alongside it, was the catacombs of Paris. And that's a the catacombs of Paris are just a creepy thing by itself, because you can die in the catacombs, you can get lost in the catacombs, and nobody's going to go looking for you, you know, because the people looking for you will also die because they'll get lost. And it's just a vicious circle of death, which is appropriate for the catacombs. That's a weird word, isn't it? Appropriate? Appropriate. I'm saying it too much because it's losing its meaning. Appropriate. Alright, that's the last. But the catacombs, so the catacombs they weren't just built as the catacombs, right? It's not that somebody just decided to build Paris, and then when they were building Paris, they were like, hey, check this out. This will be crazy. No, it was like, it was an amorphous creation. You know, it happened over a long period of time, just like the city of Paris being built. And I was looking it up, and I might be misremembering this, but Paris is like built on top of like dozens of previous Parises, right? So the Paris that is in France now is not the same Paris that existed 1,000 years ago. Or at least most of it isn't. And when they built up on top of it, that's what caused, like, the catacombs to exist, is they built on top of it, and they used the previous Paris as, like, the foundation of the new Paris, and that foundation, like, obviously had corridors in it because they're building on top of the streets of the old Paris and stuff. And that's how the catacombs were made. I might be completely wrong about that. Let me know if I'm wrong about that. If you're like a Catacombs of Paris scientist, let me know. Let me know what they are, really. But I know that you shouldn't go running around at them. Because they're dangerous. People give, like, tours, but the people who give the tours, they only go in very specific parts of the catacombs. The parts that they're going into are the parts that hundreds of people before them have gone to. So, like, they're well mapped out, right? But there's, like, hundreds of miles. Maybe not hundreds of miles. But there's tons of mileage of catacombs that you can explore. But I wouldn't recommend it, because it might be the last thing you ever do. I've heard of people doing, like, the string trick to explore the catacombs. Where, you know, like, you tie off the string to the entrance and you unspool the string as you explore. And then once you run out of strings, you won't be lost because you can just follow the string back out. I've heard of people that do that. I've heard stories of people that have done that still getting lost and dying. Like, you know, their bodies are later found. So how's that happen? Is that just incompetence or is that foul play? You like to think it's foul play. I mean, you don't like to think anything is foul play, but you hope that the person just wasn't an idiot, and you would rather believe that instead it was like ghosts or something, you know? Because that's easier to, that's more palatable. Because then you're just talking ill of the dead, you know? You don't want to say this person who died is an idiot because, and the reason they're dead is because they were an idiot. It's just easier to say it was a ghost. The ghost came up with a pair of ghost scissors and snipped that thread. But a reason that the catacombs are so dangerous is because it's pretty much a man-made cave system. So it's not even that it's just you're just walking down corridors, right? There's climbing involved. There are dark... Well, obviously it's dark, but there are, like, narrow passages that you can go in, that go vertically, that go, like, up a hill and stuff. And there are forks in the road. Not just, like, forks left and right, but forks up and down, too, that you can, like, decide to go in. At least that's how I understand it. It's not an easy thing to, like, map. That's why it's not mapped at all, anyways. At least not as much as, you know, you think it could be. Because, like, you just think, like, hey, you just go in there, map out the corridors. Just go in there, draw the room that you're in, and then go into the next room and draw that room. Like, what's the difficulty? Well, the difficulty is because why aren't caves that have been discovered perfectly mapped out? That's why the catacombs aren't mapped out. It's not that easy. Or simple. Like, I don't even know what goes into cartography to begin with. And if, for those of you not in the know, I used, like, a big boy word there, because I'm smart. Cartography, I believe that means, like, a map maker. A cartographer is somebody who makes a map. Or maybe it's somebody who copies a map. You know what? Maybe I don't know what that word means. Because I learned something new the other day about, like, words and their meanings. Cobbler. You know what a cobbler is? I bet you don't. Even if you think you do, I bet you don't. So, if you were to ask me that question and ask me what a cobbler was, I would be like, oh, easy, a cobbler is somebody who makes shoes. Duh, stupid. That's what I would have said before I learned that, in fact, cobblers are not somebody who makes shoes. Cobblers are somebody who repairs shoes. A shoemaker makes shoes. Did you know that? What makes shoes? A shoemaker. Obviously. So obvious. That's like the fun fun way that words work. How did that become a career? How does that happen? How do you have a separate thing for, like, creating the thing and repairing the thing? Like a shoemaker and a cobbler shoe repairing. How did that happen? Because, like, if you become a shoemaker, that makes sense, you know? People need shoes, the shoemaker makes the shoes, and, like, so you're, like, in medieval London, and you're like, hey, my dad's a shoemaker, so I'm going to be a shoemaker because my dad's a shoemaker, and he's going to make me work in his shop, even though I don't want to, but he's going to force me to. And then I'm going to learn how to make shoes just because I have to help my dad with his shop, and then once my dad, like, gets old, I take over the business of making shoes. But the cobbler thing, how does that happen? Like, when shoes are invented, you know? The person who decided to make the shoes just decided, it's like, I'm going to be the one that makes these. And somebody comes along and they're like, I'm not going to make them, I'm just going to fix them. But you still need to know how they're made to be able to properly repair something, don't you? Am I completely wrong about this? I might just be wrong. Like, maybe cobblers do, in fact, make shoes, and I'm just an idiot. Talking at the void. There's another level. Hey, you're back on track with my levels. You saw level 22. You missed level, like, 20 and 21, I guess. But I apologize for that. That's my own incompetence. Whoops. But anyways. So let me know if you're a cobbler in the comments down below. Let me know, like, what it is you actually do. And also let me know if you're a shoemaker. And if there's, like, some sort of, like, war between you two. Is there, like, a class war between cobblers and shoemakers? I would imagine there are. Because on the one hand, you have the shoemaker who's, you know, looking at the cobbler is like, oh, you're lazy. You don't want to make the whole thing. You just want to fix something that, like, you're just taking a shortcut. And the cobbler is over there looking at the shoemaker going like, no, you're dumb. Because, like, I'm just being a businessman. I'm just being smart. Don't make them so crappy if you don't want them to have to be repaired. And then they stab each other. There's a deep-seated hatred between them. I don't know if that actually is, like... Let me know. Let me know if you are a cobbler or a shoemaker, and let me know how much the other side sucks. I will listen. I'll listen. I will instigate. I will instigate. It's just weird. Just deciding... Like, I don't want to be a manufacturer. I just want to be a manufacturer. that joke sounded better in my head. Could you even call that a joke? I don't even know. I don't want to be a manufacturer. I want to be a manu-opinioner. I'm so stupid. Get it? Because, like, facts and opinions, and those are... The word fact is in manufacture. But it is a weird decision to make. What's something that somebody makes, right? So, okay, so here's another, like, medieval profession. Blacksmith. So, a blacksmith is somebody who works with iron and steel. And they make things out of iron and steel. Is there a job out there, like a medieval profession, of somebody who just repairs stuff that blacksmiths have made that break? Because you would think the blacksmith would just fix it. There's no need for the two separate professions. A blacksmith will just fix it. Hey, my horseshoe's broken. Alright, let me just fix the... Well, I guess they would probably just make a new one. My horseshoe's broken. Okay, here's another one. I make these on my downtime. Hey, my nail broke. Here's another nail. Because they didn't really have, like, welding at the time. So they couldn't just take the two pieces and put them together and weld it and be like, fixed. I mean, that forge welding, but that's not easy to do. and it's not precise. Maybe modern day welding is like the fix for... Maybe that's what... Maybe that's the cobbler to the blacksmith, is just a modern day welder. Because what does a welder do? It like joins two pieces of metal together. What happens when the blacksmith's things break? You know, what happens when the two pieces of metal break? A welder welds them back together. Hey, so I guess it does exist elsewhere. Well, gee whiz. Would you look at that? We've solved the mystery, folks. We've done it. Write the book. Write the book. Put it in the history books. Write it down. No longer will people have to ask that question that I asked. That probably only I am asking. See, that's why you watch my content. Because I ask the hard questions. I ask the hard questions that nobody else thinks about. Here's another hard question that nobody else thinks about. Oh, no, now I'm on the spot. Okay, I didn't say that. Don't expect it. I'm not even thinking about one, so don't be sitting on the edge of your seat for it. It's not coming. I just set myself up for failure and then failed. Alright, moving right along here though. This dungeon is not that long, so, you know.
Who are you?
Who are you? I am gonna change this whole mother effing game. That's who I am. With this build that nobody's ever done or seen before. Absolutely. But in the meantime, gotta poke. Gotta poke. Gotta poke them all. Get you out of here. Kick you out real quick. Keep it moving. Keep it moving. Keep it moving. Stop thinking about it. Stop thinking about it. You ever been cave diving? I hear that's like really dangerous. Not that that should be like a deterrent, because clearly it's not, because people do cave dive and people do die doing it. But they do the string thing. Speaking of like the catacomb and the thread, that's what they have to do with like underwater caves. If it's a well-mapped cave, there will have been divers that go in and like put in a steel cable or something that you can follow to help you along as you explore. But even then with that cable, people still die. And like I mentioned before, you don't want to speak ill of like the people that have passed, but what? How did you die? You are following the cable, you're following the guidelines, the literal guidelines. Oh, maybe they're not following the guideline. Maybe they think they're good enough. That's something you gotta be really sure about if you're gonna try to do something. If your hobby is something that if you make one miscalculation, that could end up killing you, you need to make damn well sure that when you think you're good enough to do something, that you are. like a mountain climber. I'm good enough to not use... I'm good enough not to climb without rope now. Like, now I'm good enough to free climb. I'm good enough. Well, like, you may think that, but you better be sure, because otherwise you're going to be on the bottom of that mountain dead. What's another, like, dangerous extreme sport? Because it doesn't really work with skydiving, right? You can't be a skydiver and eventually think, like, I'm good enough to go without a parachute. You don't have that luxury. You can't just skirt the parachute. Yeah, you have to stick with that. Like, it's pretty much the same no matter what. Like, sure, there's some people that, like, jump out of the plane without the parachute on, but they still, like, also toss out a parachute, and then they go and get it and put it on and then use it. So they're still using the parachute. I guess maybe a wingsuit? Maybe it's like, I'm good enough of a skydiver, so now I'm going to use a wingsuit. Is that the good enough? But a wingsuit doesn't seem that dangerous, honestly. And you're still... but also, you also still wear a parachute when you use a wingsuit, I'm pretty sure. So, yeah, that doesn't work either, huh? Alright, what's another extreme sport? What about motocross? Or motocross, or whatever the word is. You know, riding like a dirt bike and stuff. Is that even considered like an extreme sport? Like is that an adrenaline junkie type of thing? Whether it is or isn't, maybe that's an example. Because maybe you're driving with training wheels on, and eventually, you think you're good enough without training wheels. To go without training wheels. I'm good enough. I got balance. I don't need these training wheels anymore. That's ridiculous. That's ridiculous. I would love to see that, though. Somebody on, like, a mountain bike or something with training wheels on. It kind of exists with a motorcycle. With, like, the sidecar thing. That's kind of like a training wheel. I'm having difficulty thinking of other adrenaline junkie activities. Maybe bungee jumping to skydiving. So you start as a skydiver, and it's like, I'm good enough at bungee jumping that I'm gonna get rid of the cord, the bungee cord, and go straight to the parachute. But is the person jumping with the bungee cord, are they the ones making the decision that everything's good and ready to go? Or is that like some other person that's giving you the okay? Because when I think of bungee jumping, it's almost like a resort type of thing. And it's an attraction. It's not something somebody goes and finds a site and then they tie themselves off to a bungee cable and then just jump, right? It's something that's it's a pre-established site. Like it's like an already made establishment. And then there's this person who ties you off to a bungee cable, and then the person's just says, "Hey, you're good to go. See ya." So it's up to that person to decide whether they're good enough, really. Not really the person who's like jumping. And usually the person who's like looking at the bungee cables might be like an underpaid teenager. So they don't even really care. Bungee jumping's so dangerous. I'm sounding like a little ninny. Everything's so dangerous. I only just stay in my room and barely look out the window sometimes, and then what I see scares me. But anyways, that's 2 dungeons. That's a good time to stop. Hope you enjoyed this episode. Let me know what you'd like to see in the future. Like and subscribe this video, please. And I'll see you in the next episode. See ya!